All right, today we are settling one of the biggest, most persistent debates in the entire passive income world. We are running a definitive 24-hour experiment, stacking 4 of the most popular bandwidth-sharing apps on one single phone to finally see what happens. Does it actually work? Does it break your phone? We're about to find out.
So if you spend any time at all on passive income forums, you have definitely seen this question pop up. Can you run multiple bandwidth apps at the same time? On one side, you've got the optimist, right? They swear it's the ultimate money glitch, a way to basically multiply your earnings by letting all these apps work together. But on the other side, you've got the skeptics. They're convinced the apps will just fight with each other, crash your Wi-Fi, kill your battery in an hour, or even turn your phone into a literal hand warmer. Their theory is, they're all competing for the same stuff, so they have to cancel each other out. Well, today, we're cutting through all of that speculation.
And this right here, this comment from a user on Reddit, it sums up the #1 fear perfectly. See, the stakes are actually higher than just not making any money. The real concern is that by stacking these apps, you could get your home IP address flagged. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means you might start seeing a lot more of those annoying "I'm not a robot" puzzles when you're just trying to browse the web. Or worse, it could mean that certain websites or survey platforms that are super sensitive to this kind of traffic might just block you completely. So this isn't just a test to see if we can make more profit, it's also a test of the risk involved.
So, to settle this thing once and for all, we are cutting through all the noise with a totally controlled 24-hour test. No opinions, no guesswork, we're just looking at pure data. The goal here is to see not just if it works, but how it works, and which of these apps comes out on top in this digital battle for bandwidth. So, let's meet the players.
Okay, let's break down who we're dealing with, because these apps are not all created equal. First up, we have Honeygain. This is the undisputed heavyweight champion in this space, and it's backed by the massive proxy provider Oxy Labs. It's known for being super reliable and usually has the highest earning potential, but it can be pretty demanding on your network. Next up is EarnApp, who I'd call the consistent earner. It's run by Bright Data, another huge player in the industry. People love its clean dashboard and that awesome auto payout feature. Then there's Pawns.app. This is our backup generator. It's operated by the smaller but still very capable IP Royal. Look, it's not going to make you rich, but it's fantastic for adding a slow, steady trickle of extra cents. And finally, we've got PacketStream, our Wildcard. It's a medium-sized independent service, and honestly, its earnings can be really hit or miss. It all depends on demand.
Now, to make sure our results are totally legit, we set some very strict ground rules. We're using one single dedicated Android phone. We chose Android because it's generally a little more chill with apps running in the background. We started with a full 100% charge so we can keep an eye on battery drain. It's connected to a standard home Wi-Fi network, the kind most of us have, to keep this a real-world test. And here's the golden rule, the most important one: 0 user activity. We are not touching this phone. No browsing, no watching videos, absolutely nothing. It's just a 24-hour continuous run to see what these 4 apps can do when they're left completely alone to fight for resources.
All right, we've hit the halfway mark. It has been 12 hours since we unleashed these 4 apps on this poor, unsuspecting phone. It is time for our first crucial check-in. You gotta wonder, is the phone even still in one piece? Is the battery totally dead? Is one app just absolutely demolishing the others? Let's take a look.
Okay, first things first, we have to address that phone melter myth. This is the #1 physical concern people have when they think about stacking apps that are constantly running background processes and firing up that network antenna. So, how's the hardware holding up?
And the answer is, yeah, it's warm. You can definitely feel it. Picking it up, you can tell the processor and the network chip have been putting in a serious shift for the last 12 hours. It's noticeably warmer than it would be if it were just sitting idle, for sure, but it is nowhere near dangerously hot. It's not even close to throttling. The hardware is handling the load just fine. So, myth #1, that your phone is going to melt, is officially busted. It can take the heat. Now for the really juicy part. The phone is surviving, that's great. But what's actually happening on the network? All 4 of these apps are fighting for the exact same internet connection. Who is winning that fight? To find out, we're going to dive right into the phone's data usage settings to see the raw numbers and find out who's hogging all the bandwidth.
And wow, the data tells a very, very clear story. This is not an equal fight at all. It's a 2-horse race. As you can see from the data usage at this 12-hour mark, Honeygain and EarnApp, the 2 apps backed by the biggest proxy providers, are just completely dominating. They are consuming the lion's share of the data, pulling down gigabytes of traffic. Meanwhile, Pawns.app and PacketStream, they're barely even sipping from the connection. They're using just a tiny fraction of that. I mean, they're running, they're active, but they are clearly being pushed to the sidelines by the heavyweights in this battle for bandwidth.
And that's time. The 24-hour alarm has just gone off. We've let this experiment run its full course with absolutely no interference. Now it is time for the moment of truth. We are opening up the dashboards for each of the 4 apps to see the final hard numbers. Let's tally up the earnings.
Kicking things off with our heavyweight champion. In 24 hours of stack competition, Honeygain managed to pull in a total of 32 cents. That is a very solid number, right in line with what you'd expect from a good 24-hour run for Honeygain all by itself. It clearly used its powerful network to just claim the majority of the traffic, holding its spot as the king of the hill.
Coming in at a strong second place is EarnApp with 21 cents. Now, this is still a very respectable performance, proving it's a major contender. But here is our first big clue that stacking isn't just simple addition. This 21-cent total is actually a little lower than the 25 to 30 cents we might expect if EarnApp were running solo on this same connection. So it's still earning well, but it's clear that Honeygain's presence is eating into its potential just a bit. Next up, Pawns.app clocks in with a grand total of 7 cents. This confirms its role perfectly as that backup generator we talked about. It's not going to be your main source of income in a stacked setup, but it consistently managed to find a few scraps of bandwidth that the big two left behind, adding a nice little extra to the pot.
And finally, our wildcard, PacketStream, barely even makes it onto the scoreboard with just a single penny. In this super competitive environment, on just one IP address, its impact was, well, it was basically nothing. It was running, sure, but it simply could not compete for any of the available traffic.
So here it is, the final breakdown. At the very top, Honeygain absolutely dominated, pulling in 32 cents. Right behind it, EarnApp put up a really solid fight with 21 cents. Then we see this huge drop-off to Pawns.app at 7 cents, and PacketStream barely made a dent with that single penny. This brings our grand total for the day to 61 cents. So the crucial takeaway is this. Yes, stacking works. This total is definitely higher than any single app would have earned on its own. But, and this is a big but, it's not a simple addition game. What you're seeing here are diminishing returns, which leads us to a really key technical concept you need to understand.
The reason you get those diminishing returns is this concept called network saturation. I want you to think of your home internet connection like a pipe. It's got a fixed size, right? There's only so much data that can flow through it at any one time. These apps make money by selling your upload bandwidth. So the big apps Honeygain and EarnApp are so good at finding people who need that bandwidth that they basically saturate the pipe. They use up most of the available space. The smaller apps like Pawns and PacketStream are left to fight over the tiny trickle of bandwidth that's left over. They can't earn more because there's simply no more internet capacity to sell.
So what does all this mean for you? What's the takeaway? We've busted the myths, we've crunched the numbers, and now we actually understand the science behind why the results look the way they do. So let's turn all that data into the most efficient, most profitable, and most actionable setup possible. What I am calling the God tier stack. Here it is, your actionable step-by-step strategy based on our results. Step 1, prioritize the heavyweights. You're going to get Honeygain installed first. Let it be the alpha on your device. Give it first dibs to claim the majority of the bandwidth demand. Step 2, layer in the consistent earner. Next, you bring in EarnApp. It's a powerful number 2 that's going to work to capture all that valuable secondary traffic that Honeygain leaves behind. And then step 3, which is totally optional, add the backups. You can throw Pawns.app on there to grab a few extra cents from the leftovers, but just don't expect it to be a major contributor. And based on our test, you can pretty safely skip PacketStream in a single device stack like this.
So the final verdict is in. Yes, you should absolutely stack bandwidth sharing apps, but you have to be smart about it. You have to do it strategically. Focus on the top 2 heavyweights to maximize your earnings without overloading your system for pennies. Now, if you want to build this exact stack and get a bit of a head start, don't start from zero. I put links in the description below. If you use the Honeygain link, you'll instantly get a free $3 bonus added to your account. And finally, I want to hear from you. Let us know down in the comments what's the most you have ever earned in a single day from your phone farm.